So I came here in the northern region, Tamale to precise, but I've seen on social media red clay. So I decided to pass through to look at what they have in here. Boss, what's the name of the place? Red clay.
Red clay, yes.
Any meaning? What?
Red clay visually is the bricks.
Okay.
All right. So if it's a clay is wet, it is usually called a green. Where if it is dry, bone dry, and if it's fired, red clay or brick.
Okay.
But then Ibrahim Mahama, who is the founder of this place, is an artist.
Okay.
Who also decided to come back home to establish a studio.
Okay.
Where he will work. But whilst here, he also reflected on the song by Yusundo, the Senegalese singer.
Okay, Yusundo.
Red clay. The song sings like this: red clay on the road, looking for a soul. All right. So if someone is moving from the village to the city in search of soul, he was doing the reverse, leaving the city to the village to search of soul. In the village, there are so many stories. There are so many things that ties to our dreams. If, for example, we decide that we are going to build a railway line, where are we going to get the metals from? It's going to be the rural area. If you're going to get the labor, they're coming from such.
So that is the art we have here.
So we have all these things are connected to that idea.
Okay. I entered and I saw this. What is this?
So these ones are World War II medi stretchers.
World War II?
Yeah, largely World War II medi stretchers. These are the World War II medi stretchers. These ones, that one here, this, that, and you can see the blood stains in them, all of them.
Yes, I can see some blood stains.
Yes.
So you bought them somewhere, from where?
Bought them in Greece whilst he was doing the research.
Okay.
Right. But then whilst he was thinking about that, he had already started collecting this fishmonger's cloth. So when you go to Jamestown, they're smoking the fish, they cover it so it doesn't char.
Okay.
So that blood that drips, or that smoke that drips from the cloth, from the fish, gets into the cloth, and the color sits in this way. This is another form of labor. This is another form of labor which would have given the country independence. Okay. That's the soldiers who have gone to the World War. They were promised fair wages, were promised houses, they were promised so many things. They were never given. And then in 1948, they will go on a peaceful march, which will lead to the shooting of the 3 servicemen. This year, it was largely celebrated on the 28th December, February shooting. Okay. Okay. So that is a very important part of our history in terms of thinking about the freedom and the justice that gave us to this country.
So this is one of the original stretchers that was used in World War II.
Yes. And then if you think about the World War II, it's not just about labor, but it's also about the resources, because the Gold Coast was called Gold Coast for a reason. Okay. The wealth, the resources and all that, even the wood probably may be coming to some of this sub-region, because it wasn't just gold that they took also timber. So there are so many things that ties to this history, just like we are thinking about the fishmongers as well. Because that same thing of emancipation is also tied to that fishmonger. It's tied to the guy at the Akukumpi working on the steps and all that thing is part of it. Because most of the people who were sent to the World War II were coming from the north as well. So if you check their names, they were not even referred to their surnames, but the towns they were coming from. So that same thing is what will lead us to some of these drawings. These are young men whose forefathers probably would have gone down south, which was not part, this place was not part of the Gold Coast, the northern part. Yeah, sure. Was the Northern Territory. So you go into the Gold Coast to build a railway line that would never come to you where you are coming from. How are you going to think about it? But today, something that would have been excavated from the old Gold Coast, that history, that's exact railway line that their forefathers would have laid, would be brought to the north, in the northern region. It would have been the first time that they would have seen it. But these are bodybuilders we brought here to carry it. Their forefathers would have carried this in the hot sun and all that. And you wouldn't complain. Sure. Because they were under a different regime. Today, they can deal with the economic issues. They can deal with their freedoms. That you have to pay me more, I'm in the sun. The thing is hot. This is heavy. They can renegotiate and all that. So with this privilege that we have today, what more can we do? If we are thinking about the trains, now that we've seen it and we've touched it, and we pull it. If a train, for example, we are measuring horsepower. If it takes, a train is 500 horsepower and you have 75 people pulling it, what's it going to be? It's that same horsepower. Now we can have that mental capacity to deal with history. Because when we talk about history, it is very flimsy. That has no weight. But when you have some of these things that have been acted right in front of you, you have the mental capacity to deal with it. Right.
I can see this is shoemaker boxes.
Exactly.
Camera, you can just pan to the shoemaker boxes. What does it mean? Where did you get all this from? You produce them yourself?
Yeah, we produce them with primarily we started collecting boxes, different types of boxes, like shoeshine boxes
across the country.
Yes, largely in Accra.
Okay.
And we collected also crates from the fisher folks.
Okay, this is what they use in collecting
the
fish.
Yes,
yes.
And then in Kumasi, we also collected poultry trays.
Okay.
Carpenters would be in Sokoman would be happy that there's so many booming poultry. That was 2015 thereabouts. But there was a crisis in the poultry industry.
Okay.
So whatever they produced, nobody came to buy it.
Wow.
It became a loss. So what capital say that you hard work is what it gives you, but there are also things inconsistencies within it. And these ones were produced in Brazil.
Okay.
These are cabinets, yes. These ones are cabinets from the Ghana Railways.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe
original ones.
Original cabinets.
It means this is some
maybe from Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast, yes. The first railway industry was established in the late 19th century.
Wow.
So that means 18 something.
Okay.
Okay. So you have different things like cabinets from homes, different things. Like also you have this one, for example, is coming from the Gihok Paint Factory, which was established by Kwame Nkrumah.
Okay.
It was sold recently, I think in 2015, 16. So that was the time we came in contact with it. Someone had bought all the wood after it was sold, and we decided to buy the wood from the person.
Wow.
And
it means you spent a lot in
but it takes a long time.
Okay.
So this was what we were producing in the factory.
Okay.
Ghana Tex paints and emulsion paints and all that. So we decided to use the factory as a production site. So we brought the shoeshine guys to that factory to make use of the wood. So shoeshine boys, people who were just moving around, who wanted the job would employ. So this is the fire armory of the factory.
Okay.
So the factory now, Kwame Nkrumah's legacy is now in the work. So it's not just about ordinary things, but it's a soul of a place.
Okay.
So that soul that Ibrahim was searching for is now found in different objects because objects carry all these meanings with it. Wow. And that's what this work tends to deal with. What you have here is another textile piece which he made when he was studying for his master's.
Okay.
This was around 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And he produced this work. It deals with the history of the textile.
Okay, the textile industry.
The textile industry. It came from this kind of print evolved from the Java print from Indonesia.
Okay.
They were making batia in the
Yeah, sure.
The Dutch saw that it was very beautiful and they wanted to capitalize on it. They produced with the machines, but it's almost like a Dagomba man who has been given a printed smoke. He will reject it because it doesn't have the aura. But once it was rejected, it found favor in the south western of Africa.
Okay.
Because if I write your name in a red pen, it's something serious, right?
Yes.
So
people even think you are dead. Red is meant for.
The way we think is not like A for apple, B for boy. Okay. There's meaning in color and all the way things are presented. So once these things were brought, like birds with symbols and all that, it was not just something that was abstract. It had meaning. So we gave them names, proverbial names and all that.
True.
So we started consuming them. But the game changer was when the factories were now established here, because before it was produced in Holland, and then everything would be, the money would be taken there.
Yes.
But now Kwame Nkrumah changed the narrative, where you have these factories here. So we can now even print our faces in it.
Yeah.
We can now even contribute to that culture of textile making, and then the money stays here. That will be what will be established to get revenue, to implement that free education which was introduced in the North, to alleviate poverty, and that will produce the current president we have today. Because if that intervention wasn't made, we wouldn't have a president today from the North. Okay,
so this whole place exhibits these boxes and then these fabrics. Let me ask you, do you charge before people enter?
No, it's free.
Free for it?
It's free for everybody, no matter your background.
How are you going to get money to maintain the place?
Yeah, I think we have been really lucky to be alive in this time, where now artists could earn from their work. This place is not a museum traditionally, but it's a studio. Okay. But it opens itself to the public. So the artist is still working. Now the public using the space teaches the artist how to even intervene with the work. So for example, in the white cube space, you will not be allowed to come close to the work. Some works, if you're even to go somewhere, you have to pay. Some people will be excluded. But if everybody can come, just look at today, let's look at the environment. You have people of different classes, different cultures.
Taking pictures.
Coming in, and how do you learn from that thing? When something is open, how do you learn from it? it shapes the kind of future. All this information is important. This kid here may not understand what I'm saying, but probably the thing, because they contain souls, they speak to this kid. Wow. It will shape a kind of future that we all want to be in. That future that we all want to be in is very important. Okay. And these are all part of it. It's important.
So what happens outside?
Over here, you have another installation.
Here. Okay.
So you have these wheelbarrows with rocks that are used for making glass from the Aboso glass factory, which was recently demolished. So we bought a lot of this glass and even some part of the infrastructure for Ibrahim's work. And we also have rocks that were brought here by the Europeans to build their forts and castles. The rocks also stabilize the ship when they're coming. And then when the ship is going, the slaves will be in the ship.
So you bought these wheelbarrows as well?
Yes, from Kasua Market.
Wow.
It was way back. These things have been here for a while now. But it takes time for an artist to even learn. So through this kind of engagement, he learns and reflects on the object that he's able to make work.
What is this?
This is raw material for making car tires. So it was a factory called the Bonsa Tire Factory.
I've heard of that.
Yes, in Ghana. It was also established by Kwame Nkrumah, just as the glass factory also established by Kwame Nkrumah, and the Gihok paint factory established by Kwame Nkrumah. When we think about Ghana, we think about the freedom and justice. But then there was a certain direction that we were headed to. And these factories were supposed to be the vehicle through which we can have emancipation. Today, can we travel back in time and expand it? Because we know that the future is gloomy. In terms of the way we are even excavating the earth, Galamsey crisis, all these crises that we are existing today, it's something that is gloomy. But there are also other potentials that we can tap from and then move forward from. So all these things are original writings in terms of the production order from the factory. How are these kids going to understand this labor in relation to the English electric precinct, a train that was made from for the Good Coast? And this train was just brought here to excavate to build a Western world. But what if we can now translate all these different narratives for something else? For a new Ghana that's based on freedom and justice. How are we going to deal with it?
Okay, so we move here and I can see some files.
Yeah, so the files are from the Gihok paint factory. And then the brown paper covered books are also coming from the Good Coast Parliament and early Ghana Parliament. Wow. So all the contracts that were signed and all that.
All of them?
Yes. We have they are coming from the Chemist Library they discarded some books and then the librarian was generous enough to give them to us as students. And so Ibrahim was the one they gave to, and he's been able to make use of them. You have different textiles also from different regions.
Original kente.
Original kente. So some of them are silk, some of them are cotton, they are different material. I don't think you've seen a silk kente before.
No.
So this is a silk kente.
Wow. And I can see some lanterns here, and it's been long I saw some of these things.
Yeah, but they were not just ordinary.
Yes.
Some of them were invented. This one is for mining.
Okay.
So they were not just made for us to just use.
So it's for a purpose. They serve a purpose.
People invent things for a reason.
Okay.
So today, if we look at what we need today, how are we going to invent? How are these kids?
Because I know of this one.
Exactly. For
the popular one.
Yes.
Yes, this one.
But
I know of this
one. After a period, a long period, after which they have used it for whatever they have to use it, you have to massify it. Okay. Like the mobile phones that we are using, it has been there for decades. But I see that today, it has been massified and we are expanding on it.
What do you have here? Are they screws?
These are also screws, yes. So from some of the trampolines that are used for carrying engine blocks, there are also documents in there. So it's something that is meant, he's writing a letter for the future. Because this is
cement papers.
Exactly, this is what we used to build this place. You will see more of them when you go to another room.
Wow. So we are currently at Red Clay here in the northern region. You still have some fabrics here?
No. So this is the Gihok paint factory that you just saw. No. Hey.
Okay.
So this is the Gihok paint factory. All the documents you were seeing there, this is the factory in its pictorial form. So you can see the pictures. So the factory really existed. It wasn't just about human beings working alone, but the knowledge. Okay. Because Kwame Nkrumah would have sent young people, you can see these are young, how do you call it, scientists, who would have been sent abroad to study, to come back to manage a new Ghana, a new vision. All these things are gone.
Wow.
But today that we have it here, we're able to excavate that potential and use it for whatever purpose that we want to use it for.
Is that a bed?
Yes, it's a bed. It's a bed's beak attached to a wooden panel.
Okay.
So they are used for dancing. Also, it's for sympathetic magic.
Okay.
It's to lure the animal and then you see and shoot it.
Okay.
So these are also railway sleepers from the British. This was the original one that the British brought.
Okay. But what's the size of the place, the entire place?
I mean, the entire, there are a bit of pockets in where we go this way. There are bits of pockets around. It's about 100 acres.
Wow.
Yeah.
100 acres.
So this other space is more architectural.
Yeah.
So the artist is also interested in architecture. Okay. So what you have here is the Parliament of Ghosts.
Parliament of
Ghosts.
Okay.
So if you look at the center, it's like the British Parliament.
Okay.
He did his first work in Manchester.
Okay.
Where he was dealing with residues from the British presence in the Gold Coast, vis-a-vis the conversation at the time, the Brexit. So if you look at what produced that state and reflecting on what's produced another state and what even is presented at present, we're able to look at the parliamentary documents as part of the work. So it was a space where you could put documents out, just like this space. But once you make a work that is in Europe or in, let's say, in Manchester, and you decided to make one here in Tamale, what's going to be the regulation?
Okay.
Now it's like a theater where kids can just come, watch a film, tell stories. Whilst we are building it, it's not complete. It has never been complete. So it's like a theater where you witness things. Or looking at the cement papers that I would have been used in building this place, and some parts of the city as well. But they are folded into labor hats that you wear. So whenever you see someone wearing this hat, it means that the person's intellect is not really necessary. He's not amazing. He's supposed to be carrying things. But these are the things that builds the place. If we look at where we are standing, these are bricks. But have you wondered where they are coming from? It means that you have to excavate communities for you to build this place.
To get that red clay.
To get that red clay. That means some places would have been destroyed. So it's not just about a place that we should celebrate, but it presents us with challenges that we have to now deal with. How to care for something. That's the parliament. The British system was extractive. But today, if you are going to deal with it, are we going to also continue that system of extraction rather than care? When we care, you're able to give back. You're able to re-nourish. But when you're extractive, that's why we have Galamsey pits and we cannot grow anymore. We have polluted our water. But if it's about care, we're able to find ways to deal with all these things. And that's the point of the Parliament of Ghosts. So it's about reconstituting new laws. The Parliament is a place where you make laws. But while these kids are able to hear some of these things, that the Jew sack that you see, the Jew bag you see,
I can see
is what built this place. That's what he sold as an artwork to buy the land, to start building small. So what's the value of nothing? So it's a new constitution that we are writing in our minds. And how are we going to exist as a people? What kind of work? So it's like the same parliament, but it is of ghosts, things that we don't see with our eyes, but they exist. They are people that, like laborers, you don't see them here, but their hands are all over.
Yeah, sure.
And that's how we think about it. If you look at a beautiful car, someone has done something to it. All those, if you start reflecting about our shirts and all that, probably we can meet a certain potential that we can deal with.
Okay, so from here, there is another.
Let's go this way rather.
Okay.
And then probably your time. So you can hear some birds all around.
Yes.
They live in this building. So there are a lot of ecosystems that live in there. Bats, they are small, tiny bats. It's because you've cut most of the big trees in this community as we are becoming urban. So where would they go? They will be in our roofs. But can you take your kids, can you take your hands off the machine? Take your hands off the machine. So the title of this work is Capital Corpses.
Capital Corpses.
So it's almost a dead of capital.
Okay.
Wealth. But when you think about capital, it's not just about money. It's about the goods that we are talking about, the labor forms and all this that comes with it. So then it's almost like running an autopsy.
Okay.
How then can we come to terms with this? The kind of a system that produces, because you go to school, what system does it produce you to become? All these machines were once working, now they can't sew. But the same knowledge that we've learned is the same knowledge that we're able to configure all these things. So how are we going to deal with negotiate with this? It's almost like it's kind of an autopsy that we are producing. And autopsy, I don't think we'll have the answers. we all have to do that exercise in terms of understanding.
And some blackboards here.
Yeah, the blackboards. Yeah.
Collected
from public schools, and then
and you make sure that they didn't clean the board.
Yes, that was the contract. So we made them new marker boards and markers and dusters. So there's every school and what they ask for. Some of them will be like, I want marker boards for about the same size, but I want markers. Maybe I want a red and a blue or red and black.
Okay.
They tell you what they want, and then you tell them.
In exchange of this,
that they shouldn't clean. So once we brought them here, we sprayed with a fixative. But with time, it would of course go down, but you have to fix again over time. Yeah.
Wow. So when can people visit the place?
We open from Mondays to Thursday, and then Saturday, Sunday. We say we don't open on Fridays, but if you come and someone is around, we allow you in.
So, between what time?
Officially, we went from 9 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
All right. But you have some times that people also come in at different times. Also, if someone is here at 6 o'clock, and you still have to give them a tour, right? Because this place is quite far.
Yeah.
So for someone to leave wherever it's coming from to come here is very important. It's very important for us. We don't take it lightly. That someone will just leave the comfort zone and come all the way here to experience something, and it's important that we welcome the person. Okay,
so this is actually going to be a part 1 of my visit to Red Clay. I'm definitely going to come back and give you the part 2 where you see the aircraft. We have the railway lines. You can see, if you've not experienced them before, just come to the northern region, ask any of the keke drivers or any driver to bring you to Red Clay, and you are going to experience nature, what used to be in existence and what we have now. You can compare and contrast. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.